Hello and welcome to Digital Transformation and AI for Humans with your host, Amy. In this podcast, we delve into how technology intersects with leadership, innovation, and most importantly, the human spirit. Each episode features visionary leaders who understand that at the heart of success is the human touch, nurturing a winning mindset, fostering emotional intelligence, and building resilient teams. My amazing guest today is Eric Morehouse from Washington, United States. Together, we will explore how to turn ideas into assets in the age of AI. Protecting and monetizing innovation on a global scale is a timely and vital topic, and I'm excited to hear Eric's insights on this subject. Eric is a co-founder of AiPi, a powerful solution where he has pioneered development and implementation of innovation management services to help technology companies create, scale, and monetize intellectual property and other assets. Eric is also a founder and partner at Whitestone Law, where his practice covers various aspects of corporate, commercial, and intellectual property law, including transactional and litigation based issues. Eric's clients range from early stage technology startups to large multinationals. He frequently speaks in the US and internationally on a variety of issues, including all levels of patent prosecution and enforcement, such as effective patent litigation funding, creating IP strategies to support business goals, as well as advising clients on raising funds, obtaining initial revenue, and scaling revenue. I'm honored to have Eric as a part of the executive diamond group of the AI Game Changers Club, an elite tribe of visionary leaders redefining the rules and shaping the future of human AI synergy. Welcome, Eric. I'm so happy to have you here in the studio today.
Thanks, Abby. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Let's start the conversation and transform not just our technologies, but our ways of thinking and leading. If you are interested in connecting or collaborating, you can find more information in the description. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful episodes. If you are a leader, business owner, or investor ready to adapt, thrive, and lead with clarity, purpose, and wisdom in the era of AI, I would love to invite you to learn more about AI Game Changers, a global elite club for visionary trailblazers and change makers shaping the future. You can apply at aigamechangers.club. Eric, to start with, I am so excited about our today's conversation. I've been looking forward to it for quite a long time, and I would love to hear more about your journey, about your passions, about everything what's on your table today. Could you share more, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to be on. So, I am a career patent attorney. I've been in private practice for over 30 years. And I was fortunate to have a few unique situations in my experience that allowed me to look at the business of technology, of law, of patents, and things like that very differently from the conventional wisdom. After a couple of decades in a large US law firm environment, I was able to look at the business of law and how technology is developed and how it's protected, and ultimately became somewhat dissatisfied with all those things. And then about a dozen years ago, set out on a journey to do things a little differently. And maybe I could describe in detail why that is. So, in every technology company in the world, whether it's a small startup or a multi-billion dollar multinational, technology is developed the same way. Basically, the business folks ask the tech folks in R&D or later product development to develop a new technology, a new widget, as we say. And then those folks go ahead and they do that based on what they know and their background. They typically have the same training in that technological field, so they tend to think alike. And then at the end, they will typically successfully develop a widget. And then right when they're about to commercialize, they then will call a patent attorney in who will do a clearance search of freedom to operate to determine if they're infringing another patents of competitors. And then they'll do a very kind of low level, inexpensive patentability search to determine if there's anything patentable there. And if which case, if there is, if they feel there is, and that's typically the case, they'll file a single patent application directed to a single inventive concept. The problem, there are a few problems with that. One problem is that, well, that by the time the product's developed, it's kind of too late. So if there are patents that are problematic that are owned by competitors, now they have to go back to the drawing board and redesign everything. And secondly, the patents that are obtained at that point have typically minimal value. Typically, they'll cover one inventive aspect. They'll be very narrow. They'll offer folks the ability, competitors, to design around. And then they're also even drafted by an attorney, because that work is somewhat commoditized, who is not a litigator, and they're drafted in a way that is very difficult to enforce. So at the end of the day, the company has told the competitors their secrets and is only going to have a minimal chance of actually protecting those secrets. So that's how it's currently done. So for the last dozen years or so at AiPi, we've set out to change that, to provide more meaningful insights and put patents and patent researchers in a situation where it's not compartmentalized, where that research is able to benefit other aspects of a client's business. The first thing that we did, and we constantly are improving our methodology, but we created a few software platforms that allow us to kind of visually show the patent rights in an industry, okay, and commercialization efforts, overlay that with what a certain tech company is doing, and it puts that technology, the aspects of the technology in focus and clarity. It actually shows where it fits in. It proves or sometimes disproves the differentiators of that technology compared to competitors' technologies. And it ultimately gives us a roadmap of things that we can do, insights we can provide to not only create a strategic patent portfolio that is actually able to prevent competitors from hijacking the technology, but to do a variety of other things. As you can imagine, investment entities love what we do. Why would you possibly invest in a tech company in the private markets without us doing our landscape? Otherwise, you're fumbling around in the dark. But then also with our landscape, once we show that the investors that there are differentiators, it allows us to very easily create a company valuation to make sure that the tech company founders are getting the deal they deserve. But then going into it, we're able to drill down into our landscaping, and we're actually able to ideate and come up with features and implementing technologies that the R&D and product development folks haven't thought of. Remember, they're all trained, they've got similar training and that sort of thing. And we're able to bring in a multidisciplinary crew who can actually look at things a little differently and come up with features and implementing technologies or applications that the R&D folks haven't thought of. So we can drive or at least inform R&D and product development, help our clients to commercialize, to create and then commercialize a better product or service. And this is technology agnostic. It works for everything. And then we're actually, even then, because we scrape the web and the industry, and we can then find channel partners, possibly set up other revenue streams. And then ultimately, especially in the private markets, we're able to identify entities that will hopefully acquire this technology company in 3 to 5 years. We find that the vast majority of tech companies don't cash out through the IPO process in the US, especially these days. So they're going to need to get acquired. And that's what the investors really care about. And so we're able to identify those entities and then, frankly, create patents we may or may not commercialize, but that will be relevant and valuable to potentially the acquiring entities to thereby, increase the chances of acquisition and to increase company valuation. So I guess a one sentence summary, I like to think that we've changed patents and technology research from a kind of a check the box cost of doing business to something that'll actually increase company valuation and facilitate the broader business goals. And we're able to do that through a few entities. We've got our own law firm, which was originally Whitestone, and now it's Dulles Law. We've got a number of funds where we finance patent infringement litigations, which answers the age-old question, why get patents if you don't have the resources to actually pay for the legal fees, which in the US are extensive. Well, we'll do that. We pay everything and then split up the profits with the patent owner at the end of the day. So we're able to offer that service to our clients. And then in the middle, you have AiPi, which you can think of as a business consultancy that's very heavy into tech and patents and that sort of thing, but then also helps companies get to revenue, exit, and those sorts of things. So between those three types of entities, it's a rather holistic approach to helping tech companies, oftentimes early stage, but also more mature tech companies get to goal.
Sounds like a perfect solution for all the sides, and it's also quite a revolutionary approach because you are redefining the playground and supporting so many businesses in a completely new way. Amazing.
It's
Eric,
really interesting. It really is interesting. I mean, it took about a dozen years for us to figure out creation of a number of software platforms, training a bunch of tech folks in a certain way, getting a bunch of litigators on board. But in the end, it was really just looking at technology and patents and things like that from the perspective of an investor, a tech company investor, and from the perspective of a tech company decision maker. And what is that person really, what are they interested in? What information do they need? And what would they like done with the information? What are their goals? And that it's rather simple, but it's very different than the conventional wisdom where for the last 200 years patents and technology have been siloed. They've been in this completely separate thing, and that's what they do, and that doesn't really interact and bleed over with other aspects of the business. So, I mean, that's really it. It's looking at things from the perspective of an investor and a C-level person at a technology company. And once you do that, patents, technology, everything just looks completely different.
this approach is definitely getting increasingly more important. You've built a career helping organizations turn intellectual property into strategic advantage, and today you are offering this unique service that connects protection directly with business growth. In the AI era, what truly distinguishes companies that transform ideas into valuable assets from those that let innovation just slip away?
Yeah, it's interesting. There are more tools, AI tools becoming available. There's actually a very interesting article in, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, on AI tools and how it appears that it's allowing super performing employees to perform even further and widen the gap between the overachieving employees and the others. And it's like that with what we're doing. As AI is developing, it allows us to do an even better job of obtaining those insights and providing more clear business advice, whether it's on R&D and product development or other revenue streams or exit, or just creating a strategic patent portfolio that is going to prevent competitors from hijacking the technology. And that really is vital to companies, right now. And it's within reach. It's not that difficult. And the interesting part of this is that we're technology agnostic. It works for any technology, whether it's consumer products or software or healthcare, pharma, biotech. And also the other advantage of what we provide is it's not even expensive. Because of the way we do it, we're able to provide financial predictability to our clients. It's not even that expensive. It's significantly less expensive, and certainly the costs are more predictable than typical law firm charges that doesn't provide any strategic advice. I mean, they're like on an assembly line, they'll be getting a patent and they don't know why they're getting a patent and that this is the invention. They're putting the ideas of the tech folks into a patent application format, but in the end they don't know anything about the company. We embed ourselves in the company, we understand what the goals are and achieve those goals. But with regard to costs, it's often not even very expensive. 7, 8,000, 9,000 US dollars a month. We typically sign yearly contracts to do it, and those costs cover everything. It covers the government filing fees in the US and worldwide. So the tech company just knows how much the costs are going to be every month. It also that sort of billing arrangement facilitates communication. It's vital that we're communicating with our clients a lot so we know what their goals are and what they're doing. At a large law firm, clients are often scared to call the attorney, maybe billing at $1,000 an hour. And so a quick conversation may cost a fortune and they don't get the advice. And then the lawyers don't have the business training to really understand the business anyway. But then they don't really understand what the business is trying to accomplish, even if they did those skills. So I like to think that we become, a part of our clients, and that we're all in it together.
It is truly important to understand your client well enough in order to create that powerful combo where you can truly support your clients through these exciting times and also offer solutions which nobody else is offering on the market in order to help them protecting their intellectual property.
Okay.
Many executives still treat patents as a legal checkbox.
Yeah.
You position technology and IP strategies as integral to the business plan. What mindset shift is required for leaders to move from seeing IP as a defensive cost to treating it as a driver of value creation?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just considering viewing patents and technological development differently. We typically will get going with a client. We sign these yearly contracts, but the client can stop with no further financial burdens, whenever they want. So it's a matter of just embedding us in the company for a month or two and see what we can do. It's typically the folks who really understand and value what we're doing. They're the tech companies' decision makers and the investors. It's the folks who think strategically. So what facilitates our engagement with the new clients, new technology companies, is just the decision maker thinking more strategically, listening to what we have about how we view things and giving us a try. We're able to very quickly generate an initial landscape to provide some very initial insights, frankly, within a few days, and taking a look at those and then just having a conversation with us. And we find that most folks really get it, who are on the strategic side of the business.
Interesting. Eric, how should organizations integrate AI and other emerging technologies into their business plans? And what are the key differences in approach for startups, mid-sized firms, and global enterprises?
Yeah, it helps to have someone in the organization who's very sophisticated in AI, and it's changing every month or two. And I think the dynamics are that every 7 months, the processing power doubles, its capabilities double. So it's having someone in the organization who understands the organization and then understands the capabilities of the new AI tools. We actually do that as part of our service. So as we get to know the company, we figure out what the company needs, how they'd be benefited by various AI tools, and then provide those solutions. And my suspicion is over the next decade, that itself is going to become a very important business. And then with regard to how startups versus more mature companies use AI, well, if we go to the earliest stage startups, let's say a pre-seed round, we've actually developed a software platform that can be usable by incubators or accelerators or tech company founders who can perform some of our landscaping as they're developing their MVP, minimum viable product. And so at the very early stage, those founders, tech company founders, should be using software like the one we developed to really be determining what's out there, what competitors are doing, and what the MVP should look like to really, first of all, provide differentiators with competitors, features or implementing technologies that'll provide significant advantages over the competitors, but also, and this is so important, features and advantages provided thereby that customers would actually perceive as valuable. And that's a key part of using AI too, is figuring what that is. I mean, the features may sound great to a bunch of tech folks, but you may find that competitors or the ultimate customers really don't care about those features. So getting a handle on all of that before the company's launched, so it'll increase the chances of the tech company getting to sustainable revenue. And if you look at the numbers, I mean, that's 1 in 10 in the United States. And the numbers are similar in Europe, where it's about 1 in 10 actually gets to sustainable revenue and the others just ultimately fail. And get using those tools then to then achieve investment, getting investors in to really get the company going, and then using those AI tools to bring in the smart money, the strategic investors that not only are putting money in at hopefully a reasonable deal for the tech company founders, but who can actually get to goal, hopefully find customers or help the company in other ways. So that's one way at the very early stage. And at the more mature tech companies, AI can be used in almost any organization, sub-organization of a company, whether it's on R&D and product development, helping with the tech development. I mean, that's specifically what our AI is designed to do. I don't imply with that it's like pushing a button, but our software platform is able to automate some of it, but mainly gather the information together in the right format in a way that one of our analysts can get their heads around it. And then we're further automating it every month. It's kind of getting better and faster, but really virtually any aspect, and doing it in a clear way, looking forward to exit in 3 or 4 or 5 years. Who are those acquiring entities going to be? And starting now to put yourself in a position that will look more interesting and valuable to an acquiring entity, and doing things to achieve that goal.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into how to succeed in this changing world. With AI adoption accelerating worldwide, where do companies most often stumble in protecting their assets across jurisdictions, and how can they avoid losing value in translation between markets like the US, Europe, and Asia?
Yeah, like I discussed at the very beginning, the almost every tech company on the planet goes about R&D and product development and protecting those crown jewels of the company, those assets. In the same way, they start the patent process late after the tech's already developed. And then they go about the protection in a way that is ineffective. They have folks drafting and prosecuting and achieving those patents in a way that makes it almost impossible to enforce. A litigator needs to be in the loop on that. A patent application is drafted completely differently if you look to enforcement as opposed to just a tech person who may have gone to law school but has never been in court and knows nothing about the laws of claim construction and infringement and that sort of thing. And they just end up getting patents that are unenforceable, but that are disclosing to competitors the company's secrets. And then at the same time, costing money. It costs a lot of money for patents to keep them in force and that sort of thing. So nearly every tech company, small or large, falls into that same trap. But now with AI and AIPI's processes, doesn't need to be like that. We get involved during the R&D and all that so that we can steer around the rights of others and then go to areas that through our platform we can see are going to be valuable. And we can determine and predict what direction the industry is going. In the old days, is it going toward Betamax or is it going to VCR and that sort of thing? We can determine that not just based on the technology, like in that case, but in, where, for business reasons, where's it going to go? And so we can optimize the company, our clients, not only their tech position, but then also create the appropriate protections for that, and then create patents covering technologies we may not even have a immediate plan to commercialize, but we may want to, and that we know others will feel more comfortable. And this works not just in the United States, but it works everywhere. We basically manage a worldwide strategy, IP strategy, and technological development strategy. We know where our clients are planning to have manufacturing operations, where they're planning to have significant sales. And then we also know where the economies are that are going to try and hijack that developed technology. And so we very cost effectively obtain meaningful protection to facilitate those goals.
Sounds very promising. And when I just think about the fact that you might try to protect your business, and while you're doing so, you might open up access to your crown jewels to your competitors, it is absolutely terrifying. So I like your approach. We discussed patents, but beyond patents, what other IP driven strategies, licensing models, data rights, or ecosystem partnerships are now essential for capturing sustainable business value from AI innovation?
Our AI helps with basically all the decisions that a company needs to make, whether it's on the technological development side, the data rights, and that sort of thing. And they're becoming, frankly, more interesting with AI. Other types of IP protection, design patents, figure out what should be kept as trade secrets, trademarks, things like that. But then also just frankly, how do we protect and optimize our technical positions, and also providing industry insights like who should we partner with. And especially through the law firm Dulles Law, we go through the legal agreements, whether it's through agreements with contractors who are developing the technology or those who are partnering with us to commercialize in different regions around the world. We go through all of that to become, frankly, an in-house general counsel for those. So because once you understand the significance of actually coming in and embedding ourselves in the company and understanding the business, it allows us to provide through the law firm much better, to much better handle the legal issues and protect the clients, because we find often there are significant errors made at the contract level, but then also being able to help manage or improve the R&D and product development, help with even on business development, able to find folks who can help with that. Because in the end, the tech companies, they're trying to do two things early on: bring in investor money in, right? Bring in investor money, and we give we've got ourselves an enormous investor network worldwide, always looking for new deals and new companies to invest in. And then they're trying to get to revenue. And so it's those two things: bringing investor money in and then getting to revenue and scaling revenue. And ultimately, that's what we do. That's what we do. We roll up our sleeves and do that, as opposed to, and there's a very large contrast to how patents are usually handled in a department, and they're just getting a patent, and it sits there, and it's sitting there in a vacuum, and it's costing money, and frankly typically it's worthless. We see on our litigation financing side, about 95% of the patents we see that are created, prior to our involvement, are practically worthless. Either they've been written in a way to make them unenforceable, they're incredibly narrow so that conceivably almost nobody would infringe, or they've provided the competition with very clear, delineated ways to design around the technology and get the benefits of it, but just do it slightly differently. And that's why oftentimes institutional investment entities look at patents as a check the box cost of doing business, but frankly providing minimal value. And that's what we initially set out doing, was changing that, but then expanding to virtually every aspect of the company, and then actually using our AI tools and then off the shelf stuff to come in and optimize businesses, small and large, to be able to work more effectively, get more for the dollar. Than without those tools. We're undergoing a significant transformation in business, not just in the United States, but around the world, to use those tools. Companies are starting to use those tools, but as you indicated, a few minutes ago, a lot of times these companies they don't quite know how to do it, and you kind of need a designated person or entity like AiPi to come in, get to know the business, and then start providing better solutions that allow the company to run more efficiently, more cheaply, pass those costs savings on to customers, and scale. And in nearly any industry, the company that doesn't do that is going to get left behind. And in a few years, you'll start seeing a correction in I think most industries, because the AI tools are applicable to everything, virtually every aspect of a business. It will streamline many aspects of businesses where you need less people to do it, but that's not to say that it will ultimately create employment issues. I think it may turn out like the last revolution in the 80s and 90s, when computers were finding their way into offices. I think it'll be the opposite. I think it'll create new opportunities for folks to come in general, make industries more efficient, which I think will benefit everyone.
Hopefully, this transformation will turn into that type of opportunities, and everything is speeding up. I'm just thinking about the timing. Timing can make or break any innovation. Do you believe there is a golden window where protecting and monetizing ideas generates exponential returns? And if yes, then what signals should leaders watch for to know when that window is open? Can you help our listeners and viewers to be more careful about exactly entering at the right moment?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. There is definitely a window, and that window is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, as these AI tools become available. That's what we do as part of our services when we're holistically helping companies along and helping with technological development. Our landscapes will show when's the right time to pursue new technologies, new features, and new applications. It's interesting. Sometimes I found over the last 30 some years that there may be a great idea, but it may be too early. It's really hard to commercialize something completely new versus commercializing something that's an improvement that everybody understood that the current state of the art was okay, but had limitations, but then solving those limitations, that's oftentimes much easier. When you come in, assuming you're not too early, that window is getting shorter and shorter because technological innovation, especially using AI tools, is speeding up. especially in healthcare. And thank God for all of us that it's speeding up in healthcare with new treatments and that sort of thing for folks. So it's speeding up. We figure out how quickly to start commercializing new developments and then start protecting it. Patents last in the United States 20 years from filing the patent application. So typically what we find is, rather early on, we draft these, we on the omnibus patent applications, these provisional patent applications that instead of having a single inventive concept in, we'll have 50 inventive concepts. And then we'll file non-provisionals and then continuations from that, which are the same patent application, but they claim priority to the very beginning. So they're taken to have been filed from the very first filing. And we find what that does is that insulates us from these windows, these short windows when each feature is actually going to be commercially relevant. Because what that does is, in aggregate, it puts our foot in the door for basically any feature. And so we're able to, over a 20-year period, protect all aspects of a newly developed technology. And then as these windows open and close, we kind of have blanket protection over it. And the shame of it all is it's not expensive to do that. It's just a matter of doing the work up front, looking at things through the eyes of an investor or a tech company founder, having our landscaping software to be able to see everything that's out there and everything that's not out there, but that would be cool. And then disclosing all those cool features and implementing technologies, but doing it first, doing it early, and getting that filing, and then giving us the opportunity to then protect and commercialize aspects over a 20-year period. So it's like a living, flexible approach.
I like this approach, and it's amazing that right now we just reminded everybody who might need this information that it is needed, and it is just about keeping it in mind and taking the right steps in the right direction to land it in reality. Eric, we're seeing fast moving trends, AI agents, generative breakthroughs, high profile IP disputes across music, biotech, software. Which of these signal the greatest opportunities and the greatest risks for business leaders right now?
Yeah, I think the risk is not keeping up with the new AI tools because one or more of your competitors will, and they will benefit from these AI tools. I think from now to the rest of the decade, we're going to see these incremental improvements. Like I say, a doubling in capacity and benefits provided by these features every 7 months. But there's then going to be a paradigm shift, and it looks like now it's going to be in the early 2030s of hybrid quantum computer systems that are going to then take this to a completely different level, such a different level it's hard to even predict. But just be aware that significant transformation is coming. I mean, there are correction chips being created by Microsoft, AWS, other entities, getting us closer to that. I think it's reasonable to predict an early 2030s debut of those sorts of hybrid quantum computing solutions. And that's then going to take everything that I'm saying and everything that's going to happen over the next 5 years to a completely different level. But you're going to see companies that are not, whatever their business is and whatever their industry is, falling behind if they're not incorporating these AI tools. And frankly, that's why we've embedded ourselves in that business of taking AI and seeing how those AI tools and solutions can benefit and make more efficient various aspects of a company's business, whether it's R&D and product development, or whether it's business development, or whether it's finding channel partners, or whether it's finding an exit strategy, or figuring out what new industries to go into. I mean, there are entities that were typically maybe in the control system business now are making plastic bottles. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can use these creative tools to help with and to figure out how to optimize a business's bottom line.
I agree. I attended a very interesting event around quantum computing, and Microsoft and IBM were sharing their roadmaps. So, what I saw for the coming years, starting from 2027 already,
Yeah.
then I think it won't take that long time, and we'll see something completely different around 2030, as you mentioned. So I agree with that extrapolation. I think it might happen even earlier, but time will show. However, we need to be prepared. That's why my next question to you: what is one thing about innovation or business growth that we all need to unlearn in order to thrive globally with AI in the coming years?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And just going back, one thing that helps, I think, this transition into quantum computing is that for the next 5 or 6 years, we're still going to be experiencing these incremental changes, improvements, and that sort of thing, but it'll be more manageable so you can get your head around. It's not going to be a complete game changer. And so hopefully it'll ease folks in to this sort of thinking. But things to unlearn, frankly, it's just the standard ways of how companies go about technological development in their R&D and later the product development efforts. That's just having, viewing a handful of folks with the same technological background going and developing a new widget. And that sort of thing. It's getting other folks involved, and our AI tools the answer is using us and what we do during that ideation process, during that product development process. That to me is the biggest thing to unlearn, is getting folks like us and generally AI involved in that process, that tech development process, so the companies do end up with a better product or service. And then not having that the tech groups, the R&D groups, and the other groups so compartmentalized, making sure that folks are talking and where you're integrating that then in with legal issues and with IP issues and with business development issues, and making sure that you do end up with a widget that customers actually like better than the last widget and that sort of thing. So unlearning that compartmentalization that happens in all large entities and breaking down those barriers so that there's more of a free flow of communication, and then integrating AI into all of that.
Brilliant. I absolutely love that, and I agree. We should unlearn that part and create a different approach to that. I enjoy our today's conversation, but it's about time to wrap up. So, my last question: if you could give one piece of advice to executives on how to future proof their innovation strategies and protect their IP in this AI era, what would that be?
Yeah, again, using AI tools to help with their innovation process, getting us in the loop. We see a lot of stuff. We see a lot of stuff from companies in various levels, from pre-seed to more significant multinationals, getting us in the loop. We see a lot, and we can provide advice as to the initial steps and then scaling the businesses and that sort of thing, and allowing us to come in and use our AI tools to optimize the business, but really embrace AI, do it in a smart way, either having an AI expert within the organization or experts within the organization, folks who really have a free reign amongst the different departments, whether it's legal, tech R&D, business development, operations, whatever it is, who are then able to use AI in a holistic way to improve all aspects of the business and give us the opportunity to take a look and give advice. Sometimes we look at a company and say, no, that's great, you've got it. That's the direction we would go. And other times we come in and say, well, we can help out with that. But so that would be my advice. Embrace the AI tools, and it's only going to be creating a bigger and bigger divide in every industry between the companies that are embracing those tools and the companies that are not and just falling behind.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your experience, and all those golden nuggets with us today. I truly appreciate it, and I enjoyed our conversation very much. I hope that our listeners and viewers learned a lot through our interview, and they're going to apply to protect their intellectual property and not only adapt but thrive in the coming years. Thank you for being with us here, Eric. Truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Amy. I really appreciate it. It was a great opportunity. I really thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on Digital Transformation and AI for Humans. I am Amy, and it was enriching to share this time with you. Remember, the core of any transformation lies in our human nature, how we think, feel, and connect with others. It is about enhancing our emotional intelligence, embracing a winning mindset, and leading with empathy and insight. Subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes where we uncover the latest trends in digital business and explore the human side of technology and leadership. If this conversation resonated with you and you are a visionary leader, business owner, or investor ready to shape what's next, consider joining the AI Game Changers Club. You will find more information in the description. Until next time, keep nurturing your mind, fostering your connections, and leading with heart.